This is Mrs. Fraser, and we are going to be going through your Pythagorean theorem notes. You're going to want something to write with and maybe a couple of highlighters or other colors to help personalize your notes today. So the Pythagorean theorem is for solving for the missing side of a right triangle. So Pythagorean theorem was discovered by Pythagoras. Pythagoras was a Greek mathematician, and he's not necessarily the one, um, only one that discovered this. But he is the one who received credit for discovering this. So the theorem shows that if I find the area of the two squares of the legs of a right triangle, and I combine these squares together, I would be able to, or when I combine them together, they would equal the square on the hypotenuse of my triangle. So the theorem states that a squared plus b squared will equal c squared. So here's what this actually means in one. The area of the square on the hypotenuse will be the sum of the two squares on the legs. Okay, so let's go ahead and label the legs and the hypotenuse of my triangle. So I know that my legs are what make up the right angle of my triangle. So I have a leg, and it doesn't matter which one would end up forming square A or square B, because I'm just adding those together, so it doesn't matter. And then my hypotenuse is always found located across from my right angle. And it's the slanted side or the diagonal of my right triangle. So this is the hypotenuse. The theorem only works on right triangles. It will not work on any other triangles. So let's look at some examples. A right isosceles triangle has legs of 6 meters long each. Find the length of the hypotenuse to the nearest tenth of a meter. So if I have a triangle, a right triangle that has 6 and 6, now I want to know the length of my hypotenuse. So I know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I'll take my legs, my A and B legs, and I'm going to find the area of the square. So I'll do 6 squared plus 6 squared, and that will give me the area of my hypotenuse squared. So 36 plus 36 will give me C squared. So that means 72 is the area of my square. But I want the length of the side. Only the length of the hypotenuse. I don't want the entire square. So I'm going to find the square root of 72 to find the length of the square. So the square root of 72 is approximately 8.5. So the length of my hypotenuse would be approximately 8.5 meters. Okay, looking at example 2, this time I'm given an image. I'm going to go ahead and mark the legs of my triangle and the hypotenuse. So I can see this time that I'm not looking for my hypotenuse, but I'm going to be looking for the leg of my triangle. So I still know that a squared plus b squared will give me c squared. So I'm going to do 8 squared, but I don't know b squared, and that's going to give me 13 squared. So 8 squared is 64. 13 squared is 169. And I need to find the square that adds to 64 to give me 169. So I'm going to do 169 minus 64. So I'm working backwards. I'm kind of solving my equation. So I'm subtracting 64 from both sides. When I subtract 64, I get 105. Now that is not the length of my side. Remember, my hypotenuse has to be the longest side, and 105 is not reasonable for this to be 105 feet. That's the size of the square. So to find the length of the side, I'm going to do the square root of 105. So my answer is approximately 10.2. Okay, if you'll flip to the back of your notes, we're going to look at one more example, and then the rest of your notes are going to be saved for tomorrow. So in the next one, we're looking at a keyword that lots of people struggle with often, just remembering. Find the length of the diagonal. So many times, I am not actually given a triangle, but I'm given a rectangle. And I want to find the length of my diagonal. The diagonal is going to be located here in the middle. Oh, remember, my legs are what make up my right triangle, or my right angle. So what I'm searching for here, if I want to find the diagonal, is the length of my hypotenuse. So using my theorem, I will do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 4 squared plus 11 squared, that will give me c squared. 4 squared gives me 16. 11 squared gives me 121. And then that will give me my c squared. So 16 plus 1, that's 137. And that will be my c squared. I don't want my square, so I'm going to square root 137 to get my side length, to give me c. So the square root of 137 is approximately 11.7. So you are going to place this into your folder, your math folder, so that you can finish these notes in the next couple of days when we learn other pieces to the Pythagorean theorem. Now your job is to go and complete your booklet from yesterday that you started.